My pivot nurse finally called me back, which means it's time for an anal cancer slash hemorrhoid slash whatever this ends up being update. So, after an awkward conversation, well, no, it wasn't really that awkward. Like, we've already been through a lot together, my pivot nurse and I. It's just the subject of the conversation was slightly awkward. But, at this point, been through so much. Not really anything can make me feel awkward or embarrassed or uncomfortable at this point. Like, I'm literally sharing, you know, stories about my anus online. So, not really that big a deal to have a conversation regarding potential anal cancer. So, the conclusion of the conversation was obviously we have no way of knowing exactly what this is. She did look at the last scans that I got, and there seems to be no indication of any type of cancer, anything like that. But then again, as has been demonstrated in the past, it's not always that easy to detect cancer, and sometimes you need to do a little more research, and a lot of the times you need to wait for symptoms to show up before you can actually realize, oh, wait, there's something wrong there. Let's do these tests to make sure that, yep, it is cancer. So, it's not because the scans didn't reveal anything that there's nothing. I'm hoping maybe we can do more scans, in the near future, or some exams. I don't know exactly what the next steps are for this. But for now, the conclusion is we don't know exactly what it is. What we can do, the only thing we can do right now is just keep everything on schedule. So in about a week and a half, I'm going to go get my next treatment. I'm going to go see my doctor, and then at that point, we can kind of discuss things a little more in detail and determine, all right, what do we need to do? Like, is it going to be an exam? Is it going to be tests, like scans? What? Like, let's figure this out. Until then, what I've been told to do is to self-examine, which there's two types of self-examination. Given the fact that it's the anus, which is, outside the body, if you will, mostly, there is one part which is the visual examination, and then there's another type of examination, which is the less pleasant type of examination. The insertion kind of examination to see if there's anything else deeper inside. And turns out that after doing my first not first self-diagnosed, but first ever rectal exam, it was really fun, and turns out that I'm gay. No, I'm just kidding. It was as unpleasant as it sounds, even though it was, me by myself, not exactly something that I enjoy. But the good news is, I wasn't able to feel anything that felt out of the ordinary. Of course, I'm not exactly an expert as to what I should be feeling, but I didn't really feel like any masses or lumps or bumps or anything that was hard or anything like that. Inside, only from what I could visually see on the outside and physically touch, but I can already see it on the outside. So it seems restricted to the anus itself and, that area. So that, I believe, is a good thing. I believe the less there is, the better, and the more visible and accessible it is, the better, because then it's easier to diagnose. So, kind of good news, I think. I don't know. As you can tell, I am very confident when it comes to this. I'm very clear on exactly what I should and shouldn't be feeling or seeing or touching. Plus, I did some research, and turns out it's pretty much impossible to self-diagnose whether you have hemorrhoids or whether you have anal cancer, because the symptoms and how it visually looks is so similar that it takes an expert, it takes a doctor to be able to determine that. Because I did some research and, yes, saw some pictures. Not very pleasant pictures, but you know, given what I'd just done to myself, really wasn't that bad in comparison. But yeah, it's like it looks very similar, the two. So at this point, I don't really know which one it is. All I know is it seems restricted to the anus. It doesn't seem like there's anything deeper inside, or at least not within a finger's reach, if you will, to be slightly more graphic. Maybe deeper inside, and the thought did occur to me the other day. I'm like, huh. And in fact, when I was speaking to my nurse, I asked her, like, hey, would the symptoms I've been experiencing lately, the lack of appetite, the throwing up, the, constipation and diarrhea and all those things that I've been experiencing on and off for the last few weeks, few months, could that potentially be a cause or, symptoms of anal cancer or cancer somewhere in my digestive system? And she's like, yes, it could be. So even though I couldn't feel anything when I did the exam, there is always the possibility that there could be something. It's just deeper in my digestive system. And the thing is, like, the digestive system is very long, so it would be hard to know exactly which part because I'm not a medical expert. I don't know the exact definition of digestive system, but from my understanding, from my interpretation, it basically starts at the mouth, goes all the way down to the stomach and then through the intestine and everything, and then out all the way basically to the anus. So it's like lips to anus. That seems like the entire digestive system, and that's a very, very long system. So it's like, technically, given the symptoms I've been experiencing, if it's not a result, if it's not withdrawal from the Decadron I've been taking, and it is in fact symptoms of more cancer or something like that, it could technically be anywhere in the digestive system. It's just the physical manifestations that I've noticed have been in the anus. So that's kind of what we're focusing on right now. And yeah, once again, I did mention this in one of my previous videos, but I will bring up, like, hey, is there any way we could do like a full body CT scan and just look at every single part of the body to determine, all right, we're 100% sure there's no cancer anywhere else except the places we've already identified. Because at this point, like, it feels kind of dumb to just wait till we get symptoms that get so intense that it's like, oh, yep, turns out you have more cancer. And at this point, there's not really much we can do. So anyway, for now, it's more self-examination, which definitely was not pleasant. But since I didn't feel anything, but I made a joke without realizing it. Nice. Kind of a crappy joke, but whatever. Anyway, I lost my train of thought with that. I completely sidetracked myself. Wow, okay, hold on. Where was I? Yeah, so since I didn't feel anything deeper inside from now on until my meeting with my doctor, so for the next week and a half, I just need to do a visual external exam. So nothing too uncomfortable or, I mean, it wasn't exactly painful, but definitely not pleasant. So at least I don't have to do that again. Maybe they'll have to do that at the hospital. There was also the mention potentially of inserting a camera to, check the rest of the digestive system. So we'll see. Maybe that's something that might happen in the future. But at the moment, at least I'm safe for now. So yeah, that's been the update. So as you can see, still very unclear what it is or isn't. But the good news is it could be worse. There could be more things inside, and for now there doesn't seem to be. So kind of a good news, bad news situation. And I want to make one last like crappy pun, but I just can't think of anything. So let me just not make one, which is really not like me. Interesting. But I mean, if it turns out I do have anal cancer, or even if I have hemorrhoids, I'm going to have plenty more opportunities to make bad, crappy, shitty jokes. So let's just let this one pass, just like the person running by outside the apartment, and let's end the video here. I'll talk to you tomorrow.